So let's do these right here. Let's do these. 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 So we got SCP-001 When Day Breaks, IKEA featuring Dr. Cimmerian and Alex Chorley. Now Dr. Cimmerian, I said Syrian. Dr. Cimmerian. I'm sorry for butchering the name. He goes crazy with his author skills. We literally just watched the Unlondon one not too long ago, and so this is the IKEA version of When Day Breaks. I was very excited for this one. So let's not even, bro. Let's just go straight into it, bro. I'm interested to see the people trapped in IKEA because it goes from a curse to a blessing real quick in that predicament. So let's go. Hopefully that IKEA spawns in front of me when I need it. You know what I mean? But let's go.
Before we begin, my mate George has just published his first book. It's a 1902 Western fantasy set in the USA following.
Let me see. It's well worth watching these videos before this one. And you know what is the great thing about this? Heem has subscribed at tier 1. They're on a 2-month streak. Ooh, Heem! Appreciate you for that tier sub, bro. I can't wait till you start going into your thing because you know I'm hitting you with that sub right back. Yo, type in the chat real quick, yo. Let me see that star. Let me see that shooting star. Oh, there it goes right there. Y'all see that? Hello, what's up, Heem? That little shooting star. Ooh! So pretty. Matter of fact, I know this is gonna blow. I'm gonna make myself mad later on. So sorry, future codes. You know what I mean? Because I'm gonna do because it's gonna mess with me. Matter of fact, this is SCP Sundays. I'll do it another time. I'll do it after this because this is the last SCP video for SCP Sundays. But when Daybreak is a multi-dimensional disaster, bro, don't tell me that because that means it hops from dimension to dimension until it achieves its agenda. You know what I mean? We're the Guardian Angel. There's no way the Guardian Angel. Or the Gate Guardian, there's no way the Gate Guardian melted. You know what I mean? It's a divine being. What happens to these SCPs? You're not about to sit here and tell me that the Gate Guardian melted. You're not going to tell me that the Gate Guardian melted, bro. That's what you're not about to do. You going to tell me the Gate Guardian melted? I need answers. All right, let's go. You said if Gate Guardian is real, I mean, if Daybreak is real, Gate Guardian is not? Really? Hold on, let me think about what that means. If Daybreak is real, Gate Guardian is not. So this is in its own dimension. But what I want to know, you said both are SCP-1 theories. They are both SCP-001, so only one can exist. So there's only one real one. So which one is the real one? Which one is more canon and more universally accepted? I guess you would say Gate Guardian. They both have lore. SCP-343 God didn't melt. How don't y'all know what a honey bun is? I'm mad at the people who are asking me what a honey bun is. Stop it. Gate Guardian is most popular. All right, well let's get into this. Let's get into this.
Good day everyone and welcome back to SCP Illustrated, entry log 110. I know it's been a while, but here I am, and today we are exploring the When Day Breaks storyline again, this time inside the Infinite IKEA. I would like to extend my thanks to Dr. Cimmerian for writing this with me. As by now you should know that this is an Apollyon level SCP, and this video does contain scenes of sustained threat, strong language, and strong violence. And without further ado, let's begin.
The
following
IKEA
data
workers.
release has been authorized by the following council members and administration staff.
So there's more than 5 people on the 05 council, for sure. Wait. Drone footage of 1678 corroborates. That's what that says, right? Corroborates what was in the recovered file is just ash and rocks now. A. Survivors. 1. 3 destinations. Undublin. Evidently, Unlondon wasn't alone. Should we investigate further? Okay, so Undublin is still standing. Undublin is the place that they went after Unlondon. For now, no. Yo, shout out to the Bobbies standing strong and getting those survivors off of Unlondon. Yeah, I need to see a video on Undublin though. I guess Undublin would only exist in Unlondon. Or never mind, the Daybreak dimension. My fault, I'm not in the camera. It's because I'm getting, For now, we are stretched thin as it is. They're their own. Understood, we'll keep our ears to the ground just in case. Happy coincidence. Damn, they made it look like it was a movie, bro.
There are 3 things that we humans are capable of that raise them above every other species.
Yo, I just peeped, bro. I don't know why it took my brain this long to process this. But if there is one place you're going to go and live out the rest of your days in a world like Daybreak's, it is the SCP Infinite IKEA. Because not only are you getting infinite food, infinite water, but you can get infinite shelter, beds, TVs, DVDs. Literally each time you go to a different IKEA, you get something else spawned in. So there's a possibility of finding a new anime for every aisle you find. There's a possibility of finding a TV. There's infinite power surging through. There's different break rooms. So yeah, bro. Yeah. I'm interested to see how this story goes because the Infinite IKEA is that. It's infinite. So there's no way you will always have an option to run away from those slug creatures. Always. Because like I said, it is that. It's infinite. It's an infinite IKEA. So they could never theoretically get to you. But they never stop moving. Interesting.
In the animal kingdom. 1 is running. There are faster sprinters, but over long distances we stand above the rest. It doesn't matter if you're crossing an African savanna to look for your next meal, if you're running up the street to make it to your job on time, or if you're stuck in an infinite IKEA trying to find a good vantage point to watch a battle. Running is our thing. The other thing is really the core of the battle happening here.
Do y'all think so? Is running one of humans' best features? Like long distance running? Because all them cross-country fuckers would have an advantage over me then. Because I was supposed to run cross-country. I got recruited because of track, but I ain't never do it. Y'all said yes? I never thought about that either. But yes, Infinite IKEA sounds like a great place to survive. Exactly. Speed walking. I would be able to run fast, just not very long. My stamina is shit.
Humans are natural throwers. Other apes can do it, even some monkeys can do it. But when it comes to throwing with both power and accuracy, there is no comparison. Be it a long stick with a rock on the end, a baseball, or a sharpened piece of cherry wood pulled from a box labelled Bjorksnas. This piece of cherry wood was thrown by Master Thompson of the Home Decor clan. Its purpose is to find the heart of Lord Pillman of the Food Court. Pillman has already thrown a spear as well. This one is stained oak. They pass each other in flight and both find their mark. The last warriors standing in this bloody battle fall at the same time. Master Thompson clutches the spear that's lodged itself just below his heart. He's already drowning in blood as his lungs fill with it. Pillman lost consciousness when the other spear passed through his neck, the loss of blood pressure being just a bit too much.
Man, and this is my issue, bro. This is my issue with human beings as a whole. Everybody wants to be different. And what I mean by that is everybody wants to rep something. Everybody wants to own something, rep it, and be different from somebody else. So in turn, what that does is, even when let's say people get stuck in the Infinite IKEA, instead of banding together, everybody wants to have different opinions, different approvals, and that's okay, but can't nobody respect each other's differences? So instead of banding together, working together, respecting each other's differences, everybody wants to go and do their own thing and hate each other and fight each other because of those differences, which at the end of the day don't even really matter because we all bleed the same, right? You know what I mean? Can't respect nobody differences. You say he got the Neji treatment. All right, never mind. I don't even want to say what I want to say no more. Why? What's the point of you saying that? You know I like Neji. He said, my neck.
And the man perched high above the battle, Jamal of the Customer Service Kingdom, took notes in his journal. He was a neutral observer. His job was to report back what had happened here. The winner between the Home Decor and the Food Court clan would gain access to the newly discovered and fully functional bathrooms 2 hours over. Jamal stood up to survey the scene. There were no winners here. Everyone lay dead or dying. But then something happened. Something that had never happened before. The intercom system, long thought a vestigial relic of a bygone age, crackled to life.
Clean up on aisle 34A-029B.
Jamal's eyes went wide.
Imagine.
That wasn't anywhere near here. It was right next to the customer service desk. You'll recall I mentioned that there were 3 things humans are capable of that raise us above every other species. We run, we throw, and we're storytellers. Regardless of what happened next, Jamal had a story to tell. The Customer Service Kingdom was the most powerful group in this area. They had gained that power by being neutral and avoiding conflict. Everyone else thought the best way to get...
Now you heard them, right? This goes back to what I was saying. You heard them, right? They became the most powerful in this area by being neutral, aka respecting everybody else's differences and vibing, and avoiding conflict. You literally heard what the man just said. You just heard what the man said. That's how they became the most powerful. That's how they became the most powerful, by avoiding... it's gonna anyways. So because the IKEA is infinite, I'm pretty sure we're in a specific area of the IKEA. Because if it's infinite and people are doing this BS, I'm gonna take my bags and I'm gonna keep walking in the IKEA and find more furniture. You know what I mean?
Big was to fight each other, claim territory, be bastards. Really, it was about remaining at peace long enough to grow. Several dozen men and women now called the customer service desk home. More than enough to be any opposing force. Opposing factions would come here to pay tribute to the king. They'd ask to see the manager, and those manning the desk would go into the back and ask. He never came out. The legend was that he waited for one who was worthy to join him on the golden couch that he called his throne. No one outside of the kingdom had ever seen him in person. Of course, the truth was there was no king. The customer service kingdom was little more than a gang, and everyone was more or less equal. When someone asked to see the manager, they'd just go in the back, have a drink and a snack in the fully functional employee break room, and then come out and say how sorry they were that the Sofa King wasn't seeing anyone today. The inside of the break room was a wonder to behold. Snack machines that never ran out, a microwave, a sink for fresh water, employee bathrooms that never clogged, a coffee machine, and an...
Okay, hold on. I can't think fully. I'm going to go back. I know the people who see this replay on YouTube are going to go nuts. But I want to answer a question that Nappy was saying that I was looking at. He said, did they have guns? And they said yes, but they never found them. So, to that point, if the Infinite IKEA is a bunch of different IKEAs around the world and just spawning new ones every time, that would mean every IKEA that you go into wouldn't always have that thing. So sometimes the bathroom would be super dirty. Sometimes the bathroom might be super clean. Sometimes the water wouldn't work. Sometimes it would. Sometimes one might have a PS5. Sometimes one of them wouldn't. So to that point of you saying, why didn't they use guns? Maybe they never found an IKEA that had guns in them. Because I'm sure not every IKEA is going to carry guns. So they just never found them or never searched long enough. Especially when you're going to stay stagnant and build a community in a set area. Or like they say, like the customer service or the home decor, which means most of them are relatively staying in the same IKEA general space. If you ever been in a really big IKEA, then you know that like they're pretty big, bro. They're not small. They're pretty big. So the way it's being told, it does seem like they're all staying in one big IKEA versus like venturing out to different IKEAs. Either that or they're in IKEAs that specialize in that one thing, which is why they call them like home decor, customer service, etc., etc., or they're just names. But anyways, yeah.
Room was a wonder to behold. Snack machines that never ran out, a microwave, a sink for fresh water, employee bathrooms that never clogged, a coffee machine, and an emergency fire exit that wouldn't open. More importantly, it had a door that locked.
You said it's the same IKEA, but it travels to different dimensions. Is that actually what it is? Because if that's what it is, that's stupid. That is dumb. No, wait. That doesn't make any sense though, because the way Infinite IKEA has been explained to me and what I've seen from it is that people find new areas with new things. So, are you telling... So, you saying that would either mean that things in there just respawn and new things come in, or it's one big IKEA that's just infinite. And if it's one big IKEA that's infinite, then my theory still holds. It's just literally different sections and different things being found throughout the IKEA. More bathrooms, more aisles, more facilities, etc., etc. So it is. So, okay, I'm pretty sure, yeah, that's what, it's infinite.
Could sleep in relative peace every night. It was a paradise for them.
Oh, let me go back.
So
I need to hear this section again.
Employee snack machines that never ran out, a microwave, a sink for fresh water, employee bathrooms that never clogged, a coffee machine, and an emergency fire exit that wouldn't open.
Okay, so
more
inside
important,
the brick room. I know he just read it, but I want to scan through this one more time. Okay, so that sounds fire. Facts.
It had a door that locked. They could sleep in relative peace every night. It was a paradise for them. Jamal reached the last end cap before home, braced himself, and peeked around it. The yellow shirts and blue pants of the IKEA employees were the first things he saw. They were swarming. Why they were attacking during the day, though, he didn't know or understand. The IKEA employees were attacking some still-moving figures on the ground. At first, he imagined it was his own people, but it was something else. Jamal was used to seeing and avoiding the IKEA employees. They were misshapen and half-human monsters of flesh. But here on the ground were more monsters. These with no clothing at all. The IKEA employees kept hitting them, but they weren't bleeding and they didn't die. The employees continued the beating in silence. Whatever had happened here, the other members of the kingdom were nowhere to be seen. He was about to turn and run when a massive hairy hand settled on his shoulder. The man who owned it spoke in a hushed whisper.
Come with me if you want to live.
The man let out a low chuckle.
I've always wanted to say that. But seriously, I'll die if you stay here.
Yo, he's killing me.
The two men silently ran away. The two men had managed to find an aisle that was currently free of staff. The creatures were still milling about somewhere nearby, shuffling across the floor in squeaky, poorly shaped shoes. But for the moment they were alone. Sonny, the hairy-handed man, stopped and crouched down.
What the fuck happened?
It all started with the door. We were all waiting for you to get back. Most of us were inside the break room, relaxing, eating, or resting. Starla noticed it first. We have no idea how long it was like that, but the emergency exit had swung open. The wind was... God.
That's such a troll. No. I want to feel bad, but for some reason I can't. Usually when I'm super into these, I get like either emotional or like I feel something. But in this instance, I don't really feel much, but I feel bad. Like imagine being in the Infinite IKEA for so long and the exit finally spawns. Like either the exit or either an emergency exit spawns in or you find one and it's daybreak. God, that sucks. That sucks, bro.
And we could see the sunlight outside. Starla stood up while most of us were still stunned, and she went outside. At first it was... God, it was beautiful. Seeing her there, standing in the sunlight, watching the wind blow through her hair. Then she turned to look back at us, and her face was melting.
What do you mean, melting?
I don't know. She was melting. First her face, then the rest of her. Thomas ran out to help, but he started to melt too, and I closed the damn door.
Jesus.
We were still trying to figure out what to do an hour later when there was this dull thump on the door. I could hear Starla and Thomas on the other side. They were begging us to come out, to join them in the sun. I pushed one of the vending machines in front of the door and the rest of us scattered. It didn't stop. They kept knocking, pleading with us. And then they started to pound. The door started to creak, the vending machine moved. We tried to hold it shut, but all of us together couldn't do it. They were screaming at us, told us to let them in. Then I don't know what to call it, but a long, skinny arm reached into the crack and grabbed Misha. She got dragged out screaming, and the rest of us ran. I heard the door open up behind us, and I didn't see anyone else make it out.
That's a hell of a story.
Sonny nodded and, for the first time since Jamal had known the man, started to cry.
Gah!
The two did their best to find a place out of reach of the monsters in IKEA uniforms that roamed the store and tried to remain as quiet as possible. Their current location was atop several boxes of painted black desks. Jamal hazarded that most of what was inside wouldn't have been very useful as weapons, but then he noticed several metal poles as part of the design. The two of them opened a box and extracted the pieces. While they waited, Sonny took a moment to attach handles to the drawer fronts, which were just large enough to act as a shield of sorts. Jamal took the metal poles from the design and began to sharpen them into spears. They were a bit shorter than he was used to, but they'd still work if he needed to beat someone to death. The two men were just finishing their work when they looked down at the aisle beneath them. The employees were stood there, just staring up at them with blank, featureless faces. The two men were about to run again when the next aisle crashed to the ground. A wave of other monsters came down and screeched. The IKEA employees leapt forward to attack and were quickly joined by more.
Well, never mind. When I think about it, I don't think you're outrunning the Daybreak monster, because the more it absorbs, the bigger it gets, the stronger it gets. So at a certain point, the infinite IKEA is going to become the infinite Daybreak monster, and it's going to feel like the monster is theoretically everywhere. So you can't really outrun that, because it's basically, at that point, it's going to become like a tsunami wave of red bulges coming at you. So, I mean, yeah, GG. And the way you fight it is through ice. So you have to freeze it and break it. That's the only way you would beat something like this. But even then, if it would melt, it would still be able to live, because they're not technically, because they can stretch and still be alive. It's like, I don't know. Anyway, it's a GG regardless. So y'all know that.
The intercom crackled to life once again.
Because look how big that is. Now look how big it is. All they have to do is form into one giant Megazord. Yes, I said Megazord. Shout out Power Rangers Mystic Force. Cozy, you a nerd on SCP. Well, I mean, I've watched it for a while. I better know what it is by now.
Up on aisle 304-219A.
Jamal and Sonny watched as more employees began flooding towards their location. The wave of new monsters washed over the few employees they were fighting and knocked hard into the boxes they were standing atop. The two men jumped down and began to run. At first it went well. Then the two men ran into another battle between the melted monsters and the employees. The employees ignored them as they continued the beating, but the melted monsters were reaching out with rippling flesh tendrils. The two of them defended themselves with the makeshift weapons at their sides. The creature that reached for Jamal was about a foot taller than him and covered in bleeding red marks. It had already seen some fighting, it seemed. A long tendril reached out with alarming speed and Jamal deflected it off the draw shield they'd made. The creature screeched to him in an echoing voice and continued the onslaught. A heavy whack caught him in the shoulder and he went flying into a displayed dining set that turned to splinters beneath him. Jamal scrambled to get up just as the creature was upon him. Tendrils fired out from its abdomen that shot towards Jamal. He slashed at one with the point of his spear and then spun in place, stabbing the thing where he figured its head would be. The creature's other tendril caught Jamal along the arm and pushed him to the ground. The thing pulled the spear and shield out of Jamal's hands and then lifted him into the air above it. Jamal thrashed, but he couldn't break free. Half a dozen employees then descended upon the creature and began to beat on it with their fists. At first, its grip
he put
on
in
Jamal
a
loosened,
headlock, dog.
Then it relaxed completely. Jamal tumbled out of its grip and he slammed into the tiled floor. He tried to get his breath back, but his lungs were burning. The creature he'd been fighting grabbed one of the employees instead and moved away from the group. Jamal had just enough time to panic as the faceless heads of the employees surrounded him. Then, one offered him a hand.
Are they
He
finally
wasn't
helping?
sure what to do, but Jamal took the hand anyway. It helped him to his feet while another handed him his spear and shield. A stunned Jamal stood there as the employees took off in the direction the monster was
Yeah, shout out IKEA
fleeing. He looked around for his
employees.
friend. Sonny was laying under a collapsed shelf a few feet away, a pool of blood gathering beneath him.
R.I.P. Sonny.
Jamal watched the rest of the IKEA employees begin to swarm towards his old home, the customer service desk. The employees were looking to finish things, it seemed. He raised the spear above his head, yelled for the Sofa King, and ran towards the fray. It was still a lie, of course, but a comforting one. The fray, it turned out, was dying down considerably. Jamal stood there just on the other side of the help desk looking around for anyone he recognised. A few familiar faces were there with him, surveying the broken remains of the customer service kingdom. The help desk had been retaken and the IKEA employees were milling about now aimlessly. The few melted monsters left from outside were being dragged behind the desk and into the break room. Jamal began to relax just a bit, then a low, deep rumble shook the ground beneath them. The employees stopped and turned just as a wave of flesh came pouring out from behind the help desk. Jamal ran forward and began to stab it with his spear. As he engaged in battle, he saw other members of his own crew fighting as well. He smiled, happy to know some had made it out after all. The employees had joined them and were beating on the wall of flesh too. The fleshy mass extended several tendrils which grabbed at everyone they could reach, both employee and human. Jamal was lifted by his ankle high into the air. He swung his short spear helplessly as he dangled in front of it. Then, all at once, the flesh wall began to retract back into the break room. He, several of his fellow humans, and a few employees went with it. He was dragged across the carpeted floor, past the vending machines and out of the emergency exit with amazing speed. It was a moonless night outside, accompanied by a soft breeze. He could hear the flesh monster that held him humming in the darkness. And then, the night was lit by fire. He barely had time to react as a helicopter came roaring from behind the IKEA with flamethrowers blasting. Whoever was inside had impeccable aim, burning the flesh monster and avoiding the captives. The flesh wall screeched in pain and released them. The employees scrambled to their feet and ran back into the IKEA while the humans lay stunned on the ground. Jamal and several other humans had half a mind to run into the IKEA themselves, but when they looked, the emergency exit was just a plain brick wall. While they processed this, the flesh wall retreated into the nearby woods, screeching all the way. The helicopter landed nearby and men in black armour began to quickly gather them together. He didn't know who these people were or what the symbol on their armour meant, but he imagined they had quite a story to tell.
Yeah! Oh my goodness! Yo, they said in black armor? These niggas in black armor?
And that concludes this entry into When Day Breaks IKEA. The next instalment will be coming out later this year. Massive thanks firstly to Dr. Cimmerian for writing this up with me. It was a joy to work on. Secondly, big thanks to Alex who voiced Sonny. You can find links to all his respective outlets below. If you enjoyed this entry, be sure to like and subscribe if you did. Due to the lack of videos this month, I've got plenty planned for June and July. Firstly, starting off with an old Patreon exclusive video, SCP-006, also known as the Fountain of Youth. That one will be out next week. Be sure to follow all the social media outlets for video updates. Check out the SCP Illustrated shop for posts and prints.
Nigga, he said the nigga came down in black armor. To the... came down in black armor. I'm not gonna lie. When they said... Hold on, what they say? They said he tried to go back to the Infinite IKEA and whatchamacallit, the door was gone. I was like, dang. They down bad. That's why I see my facial expression kind of change a little bit. But then he said he came down in black armor. I was like, yo, what are you talking about? Bro, so you're telling me there's actually people that's able to fight? So humanity not done after all. Because he looked like he ready. Like he looked like, send them monsters towards my way. Go ahead. Go ahead. I knew there had to be a resistance, bro. I knew there had to be some type of resistance in this storyline. Come on, yo. Shout out the Daybreak series. Everybody making it possible. That shit beautiful, bro. You telling me there's not another Daybreak series? You said later this year, bro. It's October. This was made in May. What was that? June, July, August, September. There was 5 months, dude. There's not another one? Dang, I done got hooked to the Daybreak series, and there's not even another one out yet. Damn, bro.